Evie Squires is a mother of two, under 3.
They always say about the porridge, like we now know why mummy's porridge was cold because we're already too busy. I hope they would say that I'm really hardworking and never gave up.
And the founder of Mother of All Jobs, a platform dedicated to helping parents find flexible and meaningful work.
And I always do say that to mums I speak to is we can't all have the perfect balance. I think it depends what day of the week it is. So I think try and make it work for you and your family.
Her journey is both inspiring and relatable. She shares her experience of rebuilding her confidence after redundancy.
Looking back, I wish I'd asked so many more questions, but in hindsight,
You're a bit blindsided, really. Your first day back, you get made redundant.
Yeah, my confidence had definitely been knocked. And you never know how you're going to feel, do you, after you've had a baby?
Navigating the endless phases of motherhood.
You always feel guilty, even though there's nothing you can do about it and it's not intentional. You do have that guilt, don't you?
And challenging workplaces to do better for mothers.
If you buy a house as a couple, usually it's based on 2 incomes.
Yeah.
You live off 2 incomes. So then when you come on maternity leave, it's a huge shock for so many people because all of a sudden it goes down to 1 salary.
In this conversation, Evie opens up about the juggle and the surprising lessons she's learned along the way.
When you're happy, you're often doing what you're doing well.
She also explores how workplaces and leaders can achieve better results by supporting rather than hindering working parents.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for joining us. It's really good to have you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Do you want to start off by just telling us who Evie is? Just introduce yourself to us and sort of home life and what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Evie. I'm founder of Mother of All Jobs. I have 2 toddlers, a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And Mother of All Jobs is a platform. So we help working mums get back into work after maternity leave or after a career break, or ultimately parents who are looking for flexibility in their career. And there's so many different types of careers that mums, dads, parents, and it can be anyone who's looking for flexibility. I say it can be grandparents, it can be anyone. We all now need flexibility in our lives. And I'm so passionate about working with employers to have these amazing parents, grandparents, whoever they might be, to get back into the workplace, doing what they love.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
Brilliant. Really good.
And what was your career journey like before you started Mother of All Jobs?
So I worked in recruitment for a number of years. I left school at 16. I didn't really enjoy that kind of education, being in a classroom, went straight to work. And my first job was with a recruitment agency. And I actually was very fortunate that I landed myself with a brilliant boss who was really supportive. She was really helpful, kind of took me under her wing, taught me a lot. And I knew I wanted to stay working and not go back into education. I appreciate now, I don't think that's possible. I think people have to stay till they're 18 now, don't they?
Yeah.
Trained.
Yeah, absolutely. And then worked in recruitment for a while, and then I actually went to work for a global insurance company doing relationship management, kind of looking after people, doing what I do best, speaking and talking. Yeah. And then in 2021, I took maternity leave to have my son, and then unfortunately I was made redundant on my first day back to work, where I was a bit completely thrown off. I really didn't expect it. I really did enjoy my job at the time, and I was hoping to go back. I'd been back and forth with them about working 4 days a week. I actually wanted to do compressed hours, so I wanted to do a longer days, but just do 4 days. I thought that would be a good balance, but unfortunately that wasn't possible. So I said to them, look, I'll just do 4 days, and I wanted 1 day off at home with my son, which was agreed. And then on my first day back, I was made redundant, unfortunately.
Were there other people that were made redundant? And was it literally just you got back expecting to get going and you just landed with it then?
So we were part of a team, and 2 of us, so myself and my colleague, we both had our sons the same week, and we both came back that week, and we were both made redundant. So along with about 7 other people, a few of them were offered jobs back in the business, but they said to myself and the other girl I worked with that there wasn't a job for us there.
Oh, how interesting.
Which was very convenient. And it was a real shock to both of us. And I know she was in the same position as me, where we actually really wanted to go back to work. We enjoyed working. We enjoyed what we did. And it was just unfortunate that when we were off on maternity leave, we'd had a great boss there who had supported us. She actually had moved on to another position. And it's such a shame because I believe if she was there, this wouldn't have happened. But unfortunately, That was how it fell. And then I was really stuck on what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I was really stuck where to look for a job. I was like, well, I know I wanted to work part-time, and ultimately I needed something that would fit in with that and alongside my son. And I used to travel a lot, so I'd be in Belfast on a Monday, Southend on a Tuesday, Bristol on a Wednesday, all over. And I did enjoy that aspect, but I think as I became a parent, I had to look at how this was going to work. And I believe I could have made it work, if we were given regions or however it might have been, but I just couldn't find a job in the experience that I'd had, that I could work part-time.
Right.
And that's where Mother of All Jobs was born, because I just felt that there wasn't anywhere for us parents to look for these type of jobs.
You've spoken about having a female boss very early on in your career, and who was also a mum.
Yeah.
And you said to us that she made you feel like it was possible to combine career with motherhood. Can you tell us more about how her influence over you kind of made you feel that you could do that as well, give you that sort of, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the boss who I had in the role just before I was made redundant and who'd moved on, she had a daughter, and she'd had a really successful career in financial services. She'd worked really hard. Like myself, she hadn't gone to university, and she'd chosen to go out to work and kind of work her way up. And when she had her daughter, I remember her telling me she actually took 2 years out, which I was like, wow. And now she's managed to get to where she is now. And she worked really hard in what she wanted to do, but she also had boundaries, which I really know, like looking back now, I noticed them. I didn't at the time, I didn't have a child. I didn't really
you didn't recognise
them, do you? And that looking back, I'm like, oh yes, no, she had to go back on certain days and, to support her or pick her daughter up from clubs or, whatever it might have been. She was very strict in that, and she wouldn't say yes to everything if she couldn't. And looking back, I just thought, wow, she has worked her way up and she's done really well, but she's also kept those boundaries. And I just think, especially in financial services, it's really unusual to come across females as it is, let alone
absolutely
parents who are present as well, and who aren't parents who necessarily, go in the city, 4 days a week and then don't go home. Which I know a lot of people do. And, if that works for their family, great, but it doesn't for most people. So looking back, actually, it was amazing to see her cope with that. And she also never hid the fact that she had a child or had a family.
Which that's
I
good,
think
because lots of people do.
Because I do think people do, or they don't, or, you might work with someone for 2 years and it turns out you didn't realise they've
got a family.
Got a family of 3 kids. You think, how have you not told anyone? Or how did nobody know? Or, they weren't vocal about it. And it's not necessarily that they hid it, but they didn't choose to share that information, which I think ultimately comes down to they probably didn't want to see, know what people thought of it or how they were going to be judged.
Yeah. And do you think having that present role model, because I think there's a lot of companies that don't have that, and a lot of women who working in environments where they don't have those role models or that inspiration or even that many females around them. But do you think having that inspiration made you have that kind of drive and commitment to come back after maternity yourself? Obviously it then didn't work out for you, but do you think that might in any way have made you think, I do want to get back to work and I do want to, carry on my own career?
Yeah, definitely. And I did love what I wanted to do. So I thought, there's more and more people now, mums, that are going back to work. Surely I can make this work. And not going back to work wasn't really an option for me. I never even crossed my mind. I was, that's what I need to do. And I always knew that I did want to work part-time. I kind of knew that when I was pregnant, and then when I had my son, I was like, nope, I definitely want to work part-time. My husband and I had the discussion. He said, if that's how you want to work, then absolutely. And that was important to me. So I was really focused on trying to find that balance. And I think the more people you see doing that, the better. And that was just after COVID. So it was at a time where hybrid working was becoming a little bit more common. People worked from home. I had actually already always worked from home because we were travelled a lot. We didn't have we didn't have to go into an office. So working from home wasn't any different. I'd worked from home for 3 years prior to COVID, but it meant I was travelling around. So that wasn't a big change. And in our industry, it was quite common that if you were field-based that you wouldn't be in an office. But the whole part-time, was something that was different. And when I was going back and forth with the HR team about, I think actually deep down, a lot of the HR individuals that I dealt with were female and they were all mums. And I actually think deep down they wanted to offer view it, but the business wouldn't let them. From the conversations and the way that they spoke, I could see if it was their decision, they may have given you a different but ultimately
way.
is higher up in their business.
Sucks.
And redundancy right after your maternity leave, and I think you said before you were pregnant at the same time as well, you're pregnant again.
Yes, yeah.
That's obviously quite a hard experience for you to go through. So how did you process that emotionally, and how did you start to sort of rebuild your confidence after that?
Yeah, it was a huge shock. So I didn't expect it at all. And like you said, I was pregnant with my daughter then, and they weren't actually aware of that. So not to give them benefit of the doubt, but that was just another hurdle to overcome. And I was really shocked. And it sounds silly, but I thought redundancy was something that happened to people that were close to retirement age and how wrong I was. And I hadn't really met many people my age who had been made redundant or how you navigated it. It was all very formal and you need to sign all these documents. I didn't, they didn't really explain everything as well as you probably should. My son, it was just starting nursery. It was all quite a rush and a shock. Looking back, I wish I'd asked so many more questions, but in hindsight,
you're a bit blindsided, really. Your first day back, you get made redundant. It's like,
and
wow,
you think,
I've just had a baby. I can't.
Yeah, you can't think or what. Yeah, and I think my confidence was quite low afterwards because, like I said, when I was, I thought it's okay. I'm going to find something else. And as time went on, and I thought, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think that's where my confidence had dropped, and I think also because of COVID, everything had gone online. So this was November 2022, and I hadn't been out to work as such since February 2020 because the whole of the year after we were all at home. Yeah. We had no face-to-face meetings. Everything was on Teams. So I went from being out every day speaking to people face-to-face to then being at home on Teams, which all day, every day. I know everyone used to find that so draining. Trying to present to a room on Teams when everyone just, sits in silence. So different to a room where people are
pick up on their energy.
I found that difficult. So, and then obviously having a year off going to baby sensory classes and singing nursery rhymes, it was a big shock then going back because everything was different. Yeah. The way you interviewed was different. Everything went to being online. Of course. And I was kind of desperate to actually get out there and speak to people, but that just wasn't how it was. And we were still in and out of lockdown. So I think that was quite tricky. Yeah. So I think, my confidence had definitely been knocked. And you never know how you're going to feel, do you, after you've had a baby? You think when you're pregnant, you think you know. Yeah. And I say this to many people, never make a decision on maternity leave about any type of setup. Because you don't know how you're going to feel. Yeah,
it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. Even if you think, right, no, I'm going back 5 days a week, and I've had so many friends, I'm 100% going back full time, which, fine. But then when it comes to it, they think, gosh, no, I don't want to do that now. Or
you see that little baby's face and you go, oh.
Yeah. Exactly.
Your world changes.
You think, oh no, I couldn't possibly. And also I know everyone says it and it's so annoying when you hear it, but it goes so fast.
It does.
So now I'm like,
I can't believe she's 30.
Yeah. And
to me, she's still my little baby.
You think you should be dropping her at nursery.
I know, yeah.
And then they're at school every day. And then you think, oh God, I never wanted to be in the position where I was like, God, they're at school every day now and I haven't had time off with them.
Yeah. Because then you don't really have that choice.
Yeah, your choice gets taken away from you.
Yeah.
So I think I think confidence is a big thing, and I think I'm glad I sort of stuck to my guns and thought, no, I'm not going back full time. I need to make this work somehow.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think returning from maternity leave is quite hard anyway because you have changed so much as a person. So your confidence is probably lower than what it was before you went off. Anyway, you've almost got to relearn your job and things again. So you're probably feeling
low. It's like starting a new job again, isn't it? When
100%, yeah. And I think as well, a whole year is nothing, but it's also so long.
Yeah.
I remember thinking before I went back, I was worried what my laptop password was. I mean, that was the least of my worries.
Yeah.
You think you write all these handover documents, don't you? And then you just think when you're off, you don't even think about it.
No, of course. And so there's that confidence and then being made redundant and then also having to navigate getting back into work and finding work when the world had changed so much.
Absolutely.
Like, that was so much for you to actually go through.
100%. It was so different. And I still think now it's different if we look at the way the job process is so different. Like prior to COVID, if somebody said you're doing an interview on Zoom, we would have all been like, really?
Yeah.
What's that?
Why?
Yeah, how do you build connection?
Now it does make sense. It's great that we've got technology, but it's just very different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The seed of mother of all jobs obviously came from hearing that you've been made redundant, but also 4 out of 8 of your parent friends in your NCT group have also been made redundant. There's a bit of a theme there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Again, been made redundant in maternity. What was the moment you decided, I need to do something about this?
I was actually, so I launched in June 2024, so last summer. And so when my daughter had just turned 1, and I was kind of working a little bit with my husband. I was trying to navigate, how I'm going to do it. She'd gone back to nursery, what I'm going to do. I was actually out on a dog walk, and I remember just feeling so frustrated about all the stories that I'd heard, and how I knew I wanted to do something where I could manage my own diary, have the freedom of not working for somebody, where I could pick and choose my hours. That was what was. I realised that was probably the most important thing to me, and I wanted to be there for both mine while they were really little. So I think that's where I was just walking one day, and I thought, gosh, there's such a big gap in the market. The amount of people who ask me, can you look at my CV, or can you help me here? Because they knew I'd worked in recruitment before.
Yeah.
So I think that was when I was like, do you know what? And then when I went online, and I knew from my own experience, I didn't know where to look. There wasn't anywhere that jumped out to me that was suitable for mums, and also for ambitious mums who had a career. They'd been to university, they'd worked in marketing for 15 years, they were a director, they'd worked in HR, they'd got all these amazing qualifications. They don't necessarily want to go back working 1 day a week.
Yeah.
If they did, absolutely fine, but a large proportion of them didn't want that. They wanted to work doing what they did love and what they were good at.
Yeah, they still want their careers and want to be ambitious, but they need a bit more balance.
Exactly. And also financially, they need to be earning a good wage if they want to go back to work. Justifying the cost of nursery, justifying the cost of life now.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have to be going back on a substantial amount if you want to be able to pay for your nursery fees. If you've got more than 1 child, it's even more than your mortgage. If you want to do nice things, and that's what I think I come across with a lot of the parents, is they still want to be able to take their family on holiday, do nice things, but you need to work, and they can't justify maybe working 1 day a week just to cover a few bills.
It's not
necessarily sustainable, no. And I think nowadays we all have a mortgage that is for 2, if you buy a house as a couple, usually it's based on 2 incomes.
Yeah.
You live off 2 incomes. So then when you come on maternity leave, it's a huge shock for so many people, because all of a sudden it goes down to 1 salary. You're trying to manage more with another person in tow. The maths don't add up.
No. It's a real mess, actually, that whole thing. It's awful.
And I mean, the maternity pay for most people isn't amazing. It might start off okay for a couple of months, but the baby, you're off for a year.
Yeah.
The baby needs, the first couple of months is probably when you're not really spending anything, because they don't do much. But whereas as they get a bit older and you're doing food shop, I don't know about you, but my toddlers probably eat as much as me and my husband.
I think our grandson, Sean's little boy, eats more than both of us put together.
He does. He's 5, and I sit down, I plate him up at dinner, and I think, I've given him way too much here, but he just eats the whole lot, and I'm like, and then 5 minutes later, I'm hungry.
Yeah, they're in the fridge looking for more.
Yeah.
And he's a skinny little bean as well.
They don't stop moving and just eat you out of house and home. Yeah. And they've got a busier social life than us, with birthday parties and whatever they want to do. So it's expensive to look after kids.
I say this to people all the time. I'm like, it's my food shopping. Like, my food shopping just costs so much. And my son's got a cow's milk allergy as well, so we have to buy dairy-free products. I'm just like, I can't keep
even
up
more
with having to buy all of this food. It's very expensive.
Running a business while raising toddlers isn't the freedom people typically imagine.
No.
And you've also said that it can feel completely opposite to having freedom. What has surprised you most about the reality of being self-employed as a mother?
Oh, what surprised me most? I think one thing I've missed, and I guess has surprised me, is annual leave. When you're employed, I remember being so excited to put my out of office on if, me and my husband had gone on holiday before the kids, and you are really officially off. You don't, I used to leave my work phone at home, Now I don't think you ever have that off. My husband's also self-employed, so he runs a business. So basically when we're both 90% off, but there's still a little part of you that is on. So I think that's the hardest part. I think is you fully can't.
There's no relax.
Off. No,
yeah.
We do take our laptops everywhere we go. There's that part which I think I do miss, is not having that. And I think ultimately maybe when businesses grow and you've got, one day I'd love to be able to have mums working with me at Mother of All Jobs.
Yeah,
and it'd be amazing if then I think you could then trust and rely on somebody to handle things, which I think in time will come.
Yeah, definitely. I think even even when you have that though, because it's still your own, I think there's always going to be something in your mind when you are on holiday or away, like what's going on? Is it okay? Yeah. So I guess that is quite a jump from going from that sort of employed position to building your own.
I think it is
business.
Another close one is sickness, illness with kids, toddlers. I mean, I presume it goes on for, but that's tricky, you know, when you have your whole week set up and then nursery call. And the rules of, you know, they can't go back in for this many days, and you're just trying to work out how many hours you've got until.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the hard, you know, juggling that. And also working out between like parents, who's going to collect them, whose job's more important, but on that, it could be that day, whose job is more important on that particular day. One of you might be in an important meeting, one of you might be at home that day, one of you could be out of town, you know. I think that's tricky. It's
like planning a military operation sometimes.
Oh my gosh,
when you've got a sickness.
Yeah. And it's even worse when they're not actually ill, but they get sent home.
I was going to say that.
When they're poorly and they just lay on the sofa, you can kind of get things done. But when they're not ill and you're trying to entertain them whilst work, that is hard.
Yeah. Especially the rule, I think, is when they've been sick, they can't get back for like 24 hours or 2 days or something like that. And sometimes they're sick because they've just like eaten too much and then run around or something. Yeah. And then you've got them at home and they're bouncing off the walls because they're absolutely fine. You're like, I'm stuck with this for 2 days.
For 2 days, yeah. Or the temperature. We've got the rule at nursery, if they've got a high temperature, they can't go in for 24 hours after they administer Cowpole.
Oh, God.
So, you know, you're just learning all the tricks of what to do and what not to do and who gives them Cowpole and who doesn't, so they can go back in the next day. Or if you find out one child's ill, you're like frantically like, right, do I send them in today? Is it worth the risk of them not being able to go in for the rest? And I think that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that's probably hard for employed individuals as well as being self-employed, because you always feel guilty even though there's nothing you can do about it and it's not intentional. You do have that guilt, don't you?
Yeah, mum guilt's awful.
Yeah.
And everyone suffers with that.
Yeah, I think
everything,
they do.
Everything.
And I don't think there's a way around it. And in a way, it's because we care, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely.
hard.
Yeah. So you're currently juggling growing your business and raising your children. So how do you decide where to put your time and energy, and what does that sort of work-life balance look like for you and sort of day to day?
I think work-life balance is always one's higher than the other. I don't know if there's an equal balance.
Yeah.
And I always do say that to mums I speak to is we can't all have the perfect balance. I think it depends what day of the week it is. So I have childcare 3 full days when my daughter's at nursery. My son's obviously school hours, so albeit they're shorter days, they're still every day.
Yeah.
So I really try and cram as much as I can in when my daughter's at nursery. And then the other 2 days I have her at home, so it is a bit of a juggle. I try have one day where I do switch off and I don't book meetings in, but as you know, it can always change.
Yeah.
I really try as well in the evening to, when they get picked up, turn the laptop off and just put that away until they're in bed. Because I used to find I was doing a bit of both, and then I was kind of giving 50% to them and 50% to the email, and nobody's getting the full attention, and it's often worse.
And then you feel guilty for both things as well.
You've made a mistake in the email, and you've also ignored them, and they've asked you 4 times for another yogurt, and you're trying to do both. So I have really tried to not do that. And I think as they get older, it can be often you're tempted to, because they might be sat behind the TV for a little bit longer or something like that. But actually, no, I really try to keep that time off. I'm a bit of an early bird as well, so I do like to get up early before they wake up and get things done. And that's just when my brain works. Like my husband thinks I'm bonkers because he's a night owl, so he could happily work at 10 o'clock at night, whereas I'm in bed by then.
Yeah, we're both like that.
We're
night
workers.
owls.
Are you? Oh no, I can't. Honestly, I'm usually in bed by 9.
To be honest, I think that's better, because for me, I've kind of ended up in this cycle where I do work later in the evening, and then I'm sort of falling asleep at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, which was fine before having children. But now I have Freddie. He wakes me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, so my sleep has just gone.
Then you're knackered.
Yeah,
and then it's like a vicious circle, because the next day you're falling asleep. Yeah. I think it is trying to find pockets. I say this to everyone of when it works best for you. So, like, you know, you see all these things online about people that go running at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
If you like waking up at 5, great. But you know, if somebody loves doing it at 10 p.m, fine. If that works for you,
don't force the 5 a.m. on all of us.
And the same
especially me. I'm not a 5 a.m. person.
You know, when you're employed and someone in your team does 3 long days, if that works for them, brilliant. But if that doesn't work for you, don't force it. I think try and make it work for you and your family, and your setup, and however it might be.
Yeah, it's different for
I think
everyone.
it's easy to compare, isn't it? But I think if you try and make it work for you, and often I say to candidates is trial periods are so good. So if they are looking at flexibility or how they manage their day, do a trial, see if it is going to work. You don't have to keep it that way, but if you do like 6 weeks and you think, God, this is really working well on the days where I start at 9:30, but not when I start 8:30, then you kind of know, don't you?
Yeah, what's working for you.
So I think, the juggle is always one way. And it depends on how much work's on one week. Half terms, I had my first half term last week of like, how am I going to do this for 6 weeks? And you know what? I really enjoyed it. We had a great time, like me and my son, but then it's the work that I feel like, gosh, I'm chasing my tail.
Yeah.
But then I think I'll learn how to manage it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah. You described parenting before to us as a constant set of phases like nursery days, preschool hours, shifting routines. How do you personally adapt to those shifts without losing momentum in your work?
I think that's something I'm still in at the moment because my son only just started doing the school days. So I think it's learning. And like I said, trial and error, I think. It is work, like looking at how it's going to work for you. When my daughter starts preschool with him next year, I will change again to having 5 days rather than those 3 days when she was at nursery. But then I'm going to have every day, albeit it's going to be shorter. So it'll be adapting to that. So I think it is just trial and error, looking at how it's going to manage. I also like to plan at the beginning of the week. So if you do share childcare with someone, or whether it's your partner, your mum, your dad, look at what days you can do and what days they can do. And I think having a plan at the beginning of the week works well. And every week won't look the same.
Yeah.
Like illness or whatever it might be. Don't look too far in the future, I think. Is just look at, that's like, I've just looked at now our diary for now until the Christmas break. So how are we going to manage it between us? What days have we got? The random inset day that gets flown in on like a Wednesday and you're like, gosh, who's doing this day? I think it is just taking it short chunks at a time and don't look too far in the future. And if you are struggling now, just remember it doesn't last forever. The phases of nursery and then you school hours, and then before you know it, they then decide they want to do 3 clubs, and then you're turning into a taxi driver. I've heard so many parents, say each phase just brings different challenges, and it is just adapting to them
and not being too hard on yourself, I think. So,
and I think as well, like when looking at from the kids' point of view, all of them adapt differently to whether some of them go flying at school, some of them don't. It's a bit of a steadier process. Some schools have great wraparound care, some don't. Some kids love it, some don't. So it's just looking at it, every family differently. And again, not comparing yourself. It's so easily done where we look at neighbours or other kids in the class who do 5 days wraparound. Some of them don't do any. And then you've got guilt. And I always think everyone has guilt for the thing that they don't have. So the parent is picking up at 3 o'clock. The kid wishes they were after school club.
Yeah,
the one who's after school club wishes they were leaving, when the 3 o'clock does. You can never win.
You always want what you haven't got.
Yeah. You do.
And the comparison, they say, don't know, is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that's just something to always remember.
Yeah. And how has being a mother changed your perspective at work? So like your ability to maybe deal with challenges or a different skill or mindset that helps you to excel in your sort of work and career and business?
I think thinking like on the spot and being thrown in the deep end. I think I've always been one of those people who worries a lot. Like previously in my other job, I used to arrive everywhere really early and be conscious. And I was one of those people who used to worry about the small things. As a parent, you don't. Because you get challenges thrown at you like every day, whatever time of the day. Or things that you think are going to go really well and then they don't, how to manage them. And patience is probably the one thing I've learned.
Yeah, gosh, definitely.
I think patience is probably up there with just taking a step back. I think it also, there's that saying is that if you're not going to worry about it in, a month's time, don't spend the whole day
worrying about it now.
Time. Or, it's looking at the bigger picture. And I think that is one thing I've learned. Like, is it really that important? What is the most important thing now? Little things that I used to probably flap about are really irrelevant now.
Yeah, I love that actually. And there's so much sort of like resilience building in that as well. Yeah.
With no close family support nearby, which you mentioned to us before, childcare has been one of your biggest challenges.
Yeah.
What creative solutions or compromises have you had to make along the way?
I think is just making sure that we've had the right childcare settings for the kids. Like they're very fortunate that they've got grandparents, but 2 of them work full time still, so they're not able to be there. And 2 of them have ill health, so again they can't, but they would probably want to. So I think that's a difficult part, isn't it? And I, again, like I said before about comparing, I used to think, gosh, so-and-so's gran is there every day at pickup, but you can't compare to everyone else's setup. But they might look at my grandparents and think, oh gosh, they do this, or, whatever it might be. So I think for us, it's been really important of finding the right childcare settings for the kids and having the trust and building up the relationship with the nursery that we've had. We've been really lucky that the nursery that they've been at is amazing. So we're really happy. And I think just ignore the invoice that comes at the end of the month and pretend that it's not, the price it is. And again, it's that phase of, right, it's only for a couple of years before they go to school. But I think finding the right childcare setting will make you relax more and be able to enjoy work, because going to work and worrying about them must be awful. And I always think you've got to go with your gut feeling, don't you? If you're worrying about them there, then it's probably not the right place for them. So I think, but I know childcare is a huge challenge for so many parents. Ultimately, the cost of it, and secondly, finding childcare. In most nurseries, the waiting lists are really long.
I saw on LinkedIn last week, I think it was, that someone got an email back from the nursery to say they'd been put on a waiting list, which was 2 years long.
Wow.
2 years. That's crazy.
So long.
Mental. You know what you're going to be doing in 2 years?
Just wait 2 years. Don't go back to work for a couple of years.
Yeah. That is ludicrous. I know, even the nursery that ours go to, that they had a waiting list, and I know so many parents had said, how do you get in? But I guess it is hard, and I think there's so many hurdles of people, and it's finding the one that's closest. Is it closer to the station? Do they open to the time that you need them to? I've got friends who, a nurse, and she said that she's had to drive 25 minutes across the city to a nursery that offers flexible days, because every week isn't the same.
Yeah.
But you don't want to pay for a day that you don't need. So I think childcare is a huge issue. And I think also so many people are grateful to have grandparents that are around. But I think nowadays grandparents often now still work, which is a huge,
that's the same situation for us.
Hurdle, isn't it?
People are working longer as well, because the cost of living is so high.
And I think also it's not unusual now for females to continue working. So my mum still works full time. She always has done. She worked, from when we were born, and it would be strange if I thought, oh, she's not gone to work, because she's still at the working age. It would be abnormal for her not to.
Yeah, I suppose years ago, women didn't really work as much. So Nan was there to take a bit of,
be around. Or they didn't necessarily need to ask for help.
Yeah.
Or it was help because they chose to, because they were off. Whereas now, it's quite a lot of logistics. If we need extra childcare, it is, and I think it's often people want to, it's just that they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to make it work is, impossible.
From your perspective, are companies genuinely becoming more open to flexible working, or are we seeing a step back post-pandemic?
Oh, I think we're back in the middle there. I think I've had conversations this week with candidates who are going back. The companies have said, nope, sorry, you need to come back in 5 days a week. And my son was at a play date the other week, and the mum works for a very large global technology platform. And they have come back and said, right, you all need to come back in the office every day. And it's like, really? And they're, she's in a position where she's probably thinking, how is this going to be sustainable?
Yeah.
And then you've got other organisations who are taking the leap of faith where they're not even having an office anymore. Everyone's remote, and they're looking at the bigger picture of saving money. You don't miss out on talent, because it doesn't matter where people are. So whether they're in Edinburgh or Cornwall, you still got brilliant people. And it might be that they, might meet up once a quarter, once every 6 months.
Yeah.
And it must just save so much money. And I think the organisations that are bringing people back to the office are usually larger organisations. And I know they probably don't say this out loud, but ultimately I think a lot of it is down to the office spaces that they have. They're paying for them, or they've got huge contracts and they need people in them.
Yeah.
That's my, thoughts as to the more conversations I've had with people. I'm thinking, is it down to the cost of the office?
Yeah, and they're stuck in it.
Yeah, they're stuck in it.
Make the most of the money.
Or they're not having people going in there and they're paying for all these extra, I don't know what it is, vending machines with all this fresh food. Brilliant. But, nobody's there.
Yeah.
But then I think it's also them telling you when to go in. I think it makes life so much easier for parents if they could say, look, we ideally want over the month, we need you in the office 10 days, for example. But also, if they do need you in the office, what is the reason for that? Is it for socialisation? Is it for team meetings? Because quite often, you hear people go in and there's no one else there. Or there's like one other colleague there and there are meetings all day and it's like, am I here to tick a box?
Yeah.
for
Why
HR?
am I here?
Or is it because you want me to use the office? You know, what are the reasons going back as to why you want them there?
Yeah.
And if it's for training or if there's new people in the organisation and they need training, explaining as to why they need you back in is important, I think.
Yeah.
And I think also down to sectors. Financial services is probably the furthest behind with needing people back in the office. I think that's just always the way they've been. Then you've got charities who are really forward thinking and are happy for people to be based anywhere. They want the best talent. They don't mind where they are.
Yeah.
They don't have huge office costs because they're often, not-for-profit organisations.
I guess it's a trust thing as well, putting your trust in your team and them giving you trust back. And it leads quite nicely onto this question, actually. We've got here, if an organisation is truly supportive, so they do have like flexible policies and all of that sort of stuff, but they also have like a judgment-free culture, so their culture backs up their policies.
Yeah.
How do you think parents can, give back to show their sort of commitment back to that employer?
I think it's something that kind of naturally happens. I think it's a bit like a friendship or any kind of thing. If you're getting back what you're giving, it's going to be better. You're going to thrive. You're going to be happy. When you're happy, you're often doing what you're doing well. Mm-hmm. If someone's unhappy, they're probably not. So I think if you are giving somebody that flexibility, they probably will go over and beyond because they're really grateful and they are happy and they're enjoying what they're doing. Yeah. So I think it's something that comes naturally.
Yeah, you're actually feeding into their motivation to do a good job.
It feels like a partnership. Then
being told what to do and when to do it, and absolutely.
And I think it just evolves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think trust builds there because they both feel that they can be honest with each other. If they know you're going to be supportive, they wouldn't hesitate to call you up and say, "Look, my son's just been sent home from school with an ear infection. Can we go to the doctors?" Rather than pretend they've got to go home for another reason, which is just. And then then they're lying, and then before you know it, it just sounds like a mess. Yeah. So I think, it just evolves over time.
That actually leads nicely onto this question. How can we prove that supporting parents doesn't reduce productivity, but actually fuels it?
I think the trust, I think it does fuel. I think if you've got working parents who can navigate their week, how it's going to work best for them, you're going to get the best out of them. If you're asking somebody to maybe do, get in the office, it could be that they come in the office rushed, fully unprepared, not eating their breakfast, not had a drink of water because they've been running around doing 3 drop-offs before they've got it. They're probably not going to be productive for the first hour. Whereas if you've given them the time, or they've been running for a train and jumping on a tube, have come in flustered, worried, they've left the daughter crying at night, not in the right mind frame. Whereas if they can come in or start at the time that suits them best, then you'd think that they would be giving more and that they'd be more prepared and ready and
producing
and it might be that they've had the
results.
time at home to maybe go to the gym in the morning or walk the dog, go on a run. They might have done something that makes them feel better, have a proper breakfast.
Filled the cup.
Yeah, filled the cup because you can't
drink from an empty cup or whatever the saying is. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't, can you? You know, it's like when they always say about the porridge, like we now know why mummy's porridge was cold because we're already too busy doing everyone else's.
Yeah.
That you don't then do yourself. And then you think, God, why have I felt awful? Or why have I got a headache and it's lunchtime? You think, actually, have I even had a glass of water today?
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah.
So you have highlighted the importance of having female leaders showing up authentically as mothers. And not hiding that part of themselves. What practical things do you think other leaders can do to make their teams feel supported?
I think your actions do more than, and so your actions mean more than what you say.
Yes.
So if you are being a present parent, if you are actively saying, no, I can't do the meeting at 4:00 because my son has football practice, I'm leaving there. And if they see you doing that, then it mirrors it, as in they feel comfortable with doing it. And they can see that you're still managing your diary right. I think if boundaries are set by the people that are in the business, they won't feel that, the employees won't feel nervous about doing it. And I think owning it, you never have to explain yourself. I often say when people are completing like those flexible working requests, You don't actually need to explain that you need to leave at 4:00 because your nan used to do this, but now she's ill and your childminder finishes, they don't need to know. And it's not really their business either. If your boundaries are that you need to leave at this time, just keep it that way and make sure you stick to your boundaries so that people don't push them as well. And then you don't get people sort of, dipping their toe in, well, could you maybe leave at 4:15? And then before you know it, the following week, there's a meeting of 4:30. And then I think keeping your boundaries and mirroring it to your team is so important.
Leading by example, I guess, because it's being committed in the time that you're there to work, because I think commitment and capacity are different things. So being committed and being driven and being ambitious and working hard, but like you say, leading by example, having those boundaries, not hiding that home life, you're just being honest about lots of things.
I think when people see it, I think also nowadays, I'm sure your sons are the same, like my kids see mummy and daddy both going to work. And I think all kids now see both parents going to work. So I think even just mirroring that to your children is important so that when they grow up, they see that everybody works if they want to, or they work differently, but both females and males go out to work. So I think it used to just be,
dad goes to work, mum stays at home.
And people think, oh, that was years ago, but it wasn't really, I think looking back, like my mum went back to work as soon as me and my sister, she had a really short maternity leave and she felt she had to go back to work because she didn't want to lose her place in the business. And she's always worked. So I never thought anything different. She's always, juggled it. Sometimes better than other, depending on how it works. But she's always been there. So I think I kind of saw her always going to work. And I really want my daughter to see that for me. And also for her to then see when she, one day if she does go to work, who are, doing the right practices and who isn't.
Yeah, definitely.
And knowing what's right and wrong, I think.
Oh, that's really good. I like that. What's one assumption people make about working mothers that you wish you could erase?
I think they think people that work part-time are part committed or half the energy, half. They're not. They're still, the job that they do at home, no matter what you do, is twice as hard as any job in the world.
Yeah.
And I think they don't go home to lay on the sofa and watch Netflix. And nor do dads. No parent looks forward to going home at 5:00 and laying on the TV, because laying on the sofa watching TV, because we don't. Yeah. I think you're not part committed. And it's just that phase in your life while the children are young that you are asking for slightly less hours so that you can make your life at home work.
Yeah, so everything works. So family life works, your work life works.
Yeah.
And I think it comes down to employers understanding that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And not many do.
No.
They just...
Or they think, some employees may have had one bad experience of something. But if you look back, if you had a guy who had a bad experience because they lived in a certain place, it doesn't mean you don't employ anyone from that area. Or somebody who supports a football team, we're never going to employ one of them. Why do you think, because they've had a child, we're never going to employ a mum ever again? It just doesn't make sense. And all people can be good at their job and bad. It doesn't matter whether they have a child or not.
Yeah.
I think you also need to look at the circumstances and put yourself in their shoes. I often think, like, if you are a working dad or you're a working mum and somebody on your team is going through a bit of a rocky stage with illnesses, for example, just look back and think, God, you've probably been in that position, because we all have, where we've had nursery call 3 days in a row, or then you're poorly or something like that. And it's only short-lived.
Yeah. And I think if you're an employer and you're giving your employees that freedom to say, oh, my child's sick, I'll work later on this evening when they're in bed, or, that sort of freedom and flexibility to work when they can. I think if you've got that as an employer and you say, that's fine, just do when you can,
and
then
be honest
actually
with
makes
them.
that employee think they're a great employer, I want to stay there, I want to...
Absolutely.
Feel valued.
And feel valued and respected.
And then they will stay there. I think, like, good talent, if you retain good talent, you get the value back. If you get rid of them, I think all the time that you might have spent training them, or all the attributes they've got, you've lost. Or like when you bring them back in the office, if they're having to leave, you're losing so much.
I could never be a stay-at-home mum either. I say it all the time, like, actually, I love going to work. Yeah. And being at work is sometimes for me like a bit of a break from being at home. So if you have to work part-time or flexibly to make it work for you, make that balance work for you, I would definitely agree. It's not because they're less committed, it's just that they need to do that to survive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely not less committed. I think any working mother is far more committed than people that haven't got children, because they have to juggle everything and plan everything. They have to be so meticulous with planning and control and organisation. Like they're some of the best people to run your businesses
and they also
for
are
you.
people that have never had time to themselves. Like if you think when you're a stay at like that year that you're on maternity leave, you are solely there 24/7. You never have that, oh, I'm like at work, you know, your career job where you can maybe pop out at lunch and get a coffee without being disturbed. You don't have that.
No.
So I think you don't, you know, or you want to go to the gym in the evening. That just is, you know, something that just isn't possible for so many people in that first stages of life. Whereas when they go to work, they actually have me time and they want to give and, you know, learn, be part of a team. They want to be part of an organisation.
Yeah, they're actually quite thankful and grateful for getting back into that and feeling a bit more normal again.
And employers reward them by making them redundant on their first day back.
Exactly, yeah.
What's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself since being a mum?
Oh, good question. What is the biggest thing? I think determination. I think I've never wanted to give up in like finding the career that's right for me. I think, you know, like I said, I've worked from when I was 16. I loved what I did. I wanted the determination of, right, I will find something that works for me and my family and still be there for them.
Yeah.
So I think, determination. And that's just in anything, like determination when you're trying to juggle or negotiate with the toddlers.
Do you think it's given you like more drive then in a way? Like more drive to actually just get things done
and make it work? I feel like I need to make it work, you know. We all need to live. So I need to make it work and push on, and whether that means you know, going over and beyond for a few months or having more quieter months, and having that determination so that eventually in the school holidays I can shut my laptop off and spend a week with the kids and not have to think about it. That's kind of my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But then still come back to it because I do want to work.
Yeah. Nice. What would you say some of your non-negotiables are to keep life sort of running smoothly for you? Obviously, it's not smooth all the time, but do you have any non-negotiables or firm boundaries that you put in place?
Go for a run. I love running. So that is my, usually run like 3 or 4 times a week. And that is my, right, I'm going, no matter how I feel, when I come back, I always feel better. So I really try and squeeze that in. And I think as they got a little bit older and you get full night's sleep and things like that, it's a bit more manageable. I appreciate early on it's not. But I think once I go running, or if I have that opportunity, then I'm a better parent.
Yeah. So it's actually important to make time for whatever that is for you, because it makes you better as a parent or better at work or
absolutely, you know. Yeah. I think that's and I've had times where, you know, you're in a bit of a slump and think, God, why do I feel like this? And I look back and I'm like, oh, I've not been on, it's Saturday and I've not ran all week, and think, well, no wonder I've not exercised. I've not had my, even if it's just half an hour, whatever
it's like
it might be.
Your hit of doing what you want to do.
The endorphins. Like last night, it was like raining and both the kids had just gone to bed, and I'd organised to meet my friend at 7:15, and I could have easily just said no. But when I came back, I was so pleased. I was like, I love that. I'm so glad I went. We had such a nice run, good chat. I didn't have any worries because they were in bed asleep. We kind of know that there's not, you know, all hell's breaking loose back at home. I think that's hard when you try and make time for you, but you know it's just not going smoothly. It's not worth it.
Or you have that guilt, I think, even if they're absolutely fine. I think sometimes you taking that time away from them to do something for yourself, you feel guilty anyway.
You do, and you think, gosh, I hope they're okay. Or then you feel guilt that the person's looking after them.
Yeah,
you know,
they're okay.
Yeah. Probably not. They're exhausted. But so for me, exercise.
If you think about yourself now as a role model, what do you hope other women, maybe those considering having children, but worried about perhaps the career impact it might have, what do you hope they take away from your story?
I hope they take away, I do believe everything happens for a reason. So in my case, being made redundant, at the time didn't feel like it, but I feel like every path that you're taken on there is a reason for it. And I think you will go on to do better things. And I think if you are maybe going on a career change, or you think you're taking a step back, you're not. You're always, you know, you might not be going forwards, but you might be going sideways, and you're still progressing. It's never, whatever you do is never going to send you backwards. So I think you just have to take what you're doing now and just, you know, appreciate this is this stage in your life, but you still will eventually get to where you want to be, however it might be, but you're never going backwards. And I also think it's not a waste. Whatever you've done previously isn't a waste.
Everything's a learning curve, and it's growth going forward.
I don't regret my old job, and I loved my job. the outcome maybe could have been better, but I think I learned so much from it. I look at all the positives. I always try and focus on the positives. I think looking at the negatives, unfortunately, doesn't help anyone. So even though it's easily done, I think just focus on the positives, look at what you were good at, what you are good at, and how you can take that into the next stage.
Yeah, focus on what you can change and the difference you can make.
Yeah. I know it is easier to often look at the negatives, but if you just focus on the positives, and if you feel that you don't know, some people feel a bit lost when they're at this stage. If you don't know what you're good at, ask either ex-colleagues or your friends.
That's
what are you good at? Because sometimes people think, I don't know what I'm good at. I'm not good at anything. But that's such a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, your self-perception is very different to what other people see you
exactly.
as, isn't it?
Whereas if you ask like your best friends who are honest with you, they will tell you what you're not good at, as long as you're happy to hear that, and what you are good at.
Yeah.
And there's usually a common, they usually are probably saying the same things, but there is strengths there. If you don't know what they are, ask people, and even people that you've worked with.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
That's a great
I've not
idea.
thought about that before, actually.
Especially mums, I always think they don't have anything good to say about themselves.
Yeah, because they're always putting somebody else first.
Yeah. Or they don't know, like I actually was just writing my newsletter yesterday, and I said, everyone has achievements of like, my daughter does this, my son did this, all these amazing things. But when you ask them about their achievements, they apparently don't have any.
Yeah.
Or they can't remember. And I'm like, you do have achievements, but one, you don't think they are, or two, you don't want to tell anyone because, they just feel that they don't want to brag tell people your achievements are there, like put them on your CV, put them on your LinkedIn. You need to talk about the good things that you're good at.
Yeah. Be
and
proud.
believe them. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. So we have one final question for you. Fast forward to the future and your children are grown up and they're telling your story. What do you hope they would say about you?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say that I hope they would say that I'm really hardworking and never gave up.
Oh, that's good.
I think hard work is so important. I think if they know, like I do believe working hard and doing the right thing will never get you in the wrong place. And I always feel that I've done the right thing.
Yeah, no, I like that. Doing the right thing is important. Yeah.
Like, when you think, and I'm going back to what they think about, but I think if somebody would say to me that my child had been kind or did the right thing, there's, that's more important than anything that they could have done. Yeah. Or, if you just do the right thing in that situation, even if you are the one who doesn't, you might stick out. As long as you've done the right thing for you, people should be proud of. I hope they'd think they were proud of me.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love that.
That's really good.
And I went out to work. I'm really passionate that my daughter, and my son, that they know that we both go to work. That's one thing I'm really passionate about.
Mum's an independent woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that they grow up knowing that they can make those choices and that they're in control of their destiny.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to, again, it's absolutely fine. I don't know how you're going to survive. If you've won the lottery. But, we all need to, no matter...
Yeah. Enjoy it.
Mum or dad, yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
that was
you.
really good. I really loved
great.
that.
Great interview.
Thank you.
Thanks.